3 spine-chilling true horrors exposed, sinister secrets behind cursed souls and unexplained fear. Sarah never thought moving to Ohio would lead her to a nightmare. The old house creaked eerily, its peeling paint curling like aged fingers reaching for her sanity. At first, the laughter of her 6-year-old daughter, Lily, echoed through the empty halls like music, pure, untainted joy. But it wasn't long before the walls, once promising a haven, began whispering secrets in the night. Shadows danced across the corners, flickering lights cast ominous shapes, and the air thickened with a presence that felt all too unnatural. Each night, Sarah felt terror inch closer, pooling around her like a dark tide. The neighborhood seemed safe during the day, filled with friendly faces who waved under the warm sun. But when twilight fell, everything changed. The whispers grew louder, creeping up her spine, colder and more unsettling. Even the laughter that once comforted her now felt tainted, each giggle from Lily a chilling reminder that something lurked just beyond their threshold. The hairs on Sarah's neck stood up as she laid awake, heart racing, as if it could thrum loud enough to drown out the haunting echoes. Seeking solace, Sarah reached out to her neighbors, hoping to share her fears. Perhaps someone could reassure her, tell her it was all in her head. But they only chuckled dismissively, as if she were overreacting. "Kids have wild imaginations," they said, while she felt each laugh like a jab to her gut. They didn't understand. They couldn't hear what she heard. One night, while tending to a restless Lily, Sarah noticed a small, dusty journal wedged beneath a loose floorboard. Heart pounding, she pried it open. The entries were cryptic, scratching out dark legends and mysterious figures that skirted the edges of terror. A chilling tale caught her breath, an unsettling account of a child who'd gone missing in this very house decades ago. Sarah's pulse quickened. What kind of history had she stumbled into? Research led her to Mrs. Franklin, the schoolteacher next door, shrouded in the eerie glow of memory that the townspeople still whispered about. On the worst day imaginable, a child had vanished under her watch and was never found. As Sarah's dread intensified, she noticed shadowy figures lurking outside at night, always just out of sight, always imitating laughter that wasn't her daughter's. With every instinct screaming for her to protect Lily, Sarah confronted Mrs. Franklin, urgency wrapping around her tongue like ice. But the schoolteacher's eyes were hollow, a mirror reflecting deep-set fears. The aura surrounding her spilled over with years of pain. Her silence spoke louder than any words could. Just when Sarah thought there might be a glimmer of hope, Lily met her at the door, dirt-stained hands and an unsettling glint in her eyes. "Mommy, I made new friends. They want to play at night." Panic surged through Sarah like poison, finding cracks in her sanity. Local authorities brushed off her fears, leaving her isolated and frantic. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Now desperate, Sarah turned to an eccentric neighbor, a local historian who had a knowing glint in his eye. She hoped he could uncover the truth behind the shadows that plagued their nights. As dusk wrapped its arms around the neighborhood, the weight of an unspeakable understanding smothered her, whispering of a sinister retribution that had long lay in dormant shadows. What had she gotten herself and Lily into? As laughter filled the room, dripping with menace, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that something dark was awakening in her home. Where would it all lead? Time slipped through her fingers like sand, and the paralyzing question in her chest screamed, how far would she go to save Lily from the haunting horrors that lurked beyond their grasp? The next night, Sarah lay curled in bed, clutching Lily's plush dinosaur like a lifeline. The air felt electric, charged with the energy of unspeakable things lurking just beyond her vision. She tried to keep her eyes shut tight, but sleep eluded her, replaced by the constant assaults of whispers floating through the thin walls. Ignoring the chaotic knots twisting in her stomach, she finally sat up, heart racing at the realization that the laughter had returned, but this time, it was darker. "Mommy, I want to play," Lily murmured softly from her bed, her voice sweet yet laced with something unsettling. A chill crept down Sarah's spine as she peered into the dim room. Lily sat up, big eyes glimmering like collected dew, shadows under her bed stretching towards her with spidery fingers. "Who do you want to play with, sweetheart?" Sarah's voice trembled, betraying the icy fingers tightening around her throat. But the answer was immediate, chilling in its simplicity. "My friends." "Lily," Sarah said, suppressing the quiver in her voice, "we don't have time for that. It's late." But the child's lips curled into a pale, sinister smile that sent daggers of dread through Sarah's heart. "Mommy, please. They're waiting." The frantic heartbeat in her chest rose to a fever pitch. "What do you mean they're waiting?" Suddenly, a scratching noise echoed from below, clawing at the wooden floorboards. This wasn't the sound of a tree branch scraping against the house, it was something alive, insistent. Sarah's mind raced back to the journal, images of missing children merging with images of shadows darting in the night. Without thinking, she bolted out of bed, her feet carrying her to the door. "Stay here, Lily," she commanded, every instinct urging her to protect her daughter from whatever danger lurked just beyond their threshold. The hallway felt like an abyss, stretching into the darkness. As she descended the stairs, a ghastly wind howled through the cracks of the old home, swirling dust and memories of long-forgotten laughter. The scratching grew louder, each scrape a terrible reminder that something waited just out of sight, something hungry and insatiable. When Sarah reached the bottom, the front door stood ajar, swinging gently as if beckoning her to step outside. Her heart thundered. Who had opened it? Cautiously, she tiptoed forward, the warped wooden floor creaking under her weight. As she peered into the night, the world felt eerily still. Shadows writhed in the corners of her vision, growing into grotesque shapes. Her breath hitched as she spotted them, the children. Lilting laughter danced through the air, intertwining with the rustling leaves. She squinted, trying to discern who they were, but their features remained hidden, cloaked in the dark. "Come and play," they chanted, voices blending into a haunting melody. They hovered at the edges of her perception, taunting her, flashing innocent smiles just long enough to chill her deeper. "Lily!" Sarah cried out in desperation, retreating back into the house, where the oppressive darkness clung to her like a shroud. She needed to get Lily, to pull her away from whatever lure became stronger by the second. As she rushed back upstairs, a voice in the back of her mind whispered warnings. Don't let her near them. When she flung open Lily's door, it was empty. Just the soft glow of the night-filtered moonlight illuminated the room, devoid of any hint of her daughter. Panic flooded through Sarah like ice water. The laughter rang louder now, echoing from outside, a chilling serenade that enveloped her, promising secrets long buried, and dangers yet unseen. "Lily!" she shouted, her voice cracking with terror. "Where are you?" "Mommy, come play!" echoed the sinister voices, joined now by a chorus of childlike giggles. In that moment, she realized the truth. The friends Lily had made weren't just figments of imagination. They were something far worse, and they had come to claim what was theirs. The front door stood wide open, inviting and menacing. Sarah's breath came in jagged gasps. Should she step outside? Confront the shadows? Or chase the echoes for her daughter? With her gut churning with dread, she took a trembling step towards the door. What awaited her on the other side was a descent into madness she could not possibly comprehend. But the voices, the laughter, they promised everything she feared was just the beginning. Where would this nightmare lead? The door creaked as Sarah hesitated on the threshold, heart pounding, mind clouded by sheer terror. The voices outside were growing impatient, weaving through the night like a dark melody. "Come play, come and play!" They called, sinister echoes of what felt like a million whispers drifting in the heavy air. Then something crashed in the living room, breaking the trance that gripped her. Lily, no. Her desperation propelled her forward. She needed to get to her daughter before those shadows could claim her. Darting inside, she felt an ice-cold breeze sweep past her, like phantom fingers grazing the nape of her neck. The air felt dense, oppressive, and shadows twisted at every corner, reaching for her like a cruel promise. Every step was a battle against the suffocating dread that clung to her skin. Lily. She called out again, voice shaking. There was no answer, only the laughter outside, cruel and mocking, pulling her deeper into the chaos. Each step felt like walking through molasses. In the dim light of the living room, she spotted the plush dinosaur lying abandoned on the ground, its button eyes gleaming, as if desperate for rescue. Sarah bent to pick it up and noticed something glimmering, tiny, shimmering bits of glitter scattered around. A trail. She stood straight, the hairs on her arms pricking. That wasn't just glitter, it was a path made of hope, but twisted. Lily. She shouted, following the path towards the back door now, her pulse quickening. The laughter crescendoed, filling her with panic. It sounded close, too close. Peeking through the glass pane of the door, she saw them, the children. They were illuminated by the sickly glow of an overhanging streetlight, their faces still blurred and indistinct. But what struck Sarah deepest were the eyes. They shone brightly, filled with a hunger that sent shivers clawing up her spine. A flash of movement behind her stole her breath. She turned to find the living room empty, not a thing out of place, but the air thickened, pressing down on her. She spun back to the door, but the children had begun to move towards the house. "Let us play, Sarah," they sang, voices enchanting and twisted. "Forever and ever." Rushing to the kitchen, Sarah felt the dread snake through her body, whispering that something was wrong, so very wrong. It was as if the house had come alive, walls pulsating with a dark heartbeat. Her heart drummed frantically against her ribs, each beat amplifying the terror creeping in. A soft tug on her pant leg made her jump. She dropped her gaze, breath hitching. There stood Lily, her face pale and wide-eyed, lips parted in an innocent smile, mingled with an unsettling emptiness. "Mommy? I found my friends." Tears pricked Sarah's eyes as she knelt, holding her daughter's face in trembling hands. "Sweetheart, we need to go. Right now." But Lily didn't move, didn't flinch. She just stared, the light of those distant children dancing in her eyes. "Mommy, I want to play too," Lily whispered, tilting her head like a curious little bird, innocence twisted into something dark and sinister. Sarah's world fractured beneath her, the ground slipping away. "No, Lily. Those aren't your friends." But as she straightened up, panic exploding in her chest, the children were at the door. Their eyes glinted with a knowing malevolence, shadows spilling into the home, devouring the light. "Forever and ever," they chanted once again, voices rising in a dreadful crescendo. "Come play with us." Panic surged through Sarah's veins. She reached for Lily, desperate to pull her away from the clutching shadows, but her daughter was rooted to the ground, smiling back at her as if the girl she knew had vanished. Time froze, the laughter warping into a cruel symphony that promised horrors unknown. Sarah needed to find a way out, to save her child, but the glimmer of hope felt like a fading memory as reality twisted like a nightmare. As the doorway darkened, Sarah knew one terrifying truth: this was no longer a game, it was her reckoning. What could stop the endless cycle? Was there anyone left to break the curse? The laughter echoed, enveloping Sarah like thick fog, suffocating and claustrophobic. She could feel her heartbeat in her throat as she tugged at Lily's arm. "We need to go." But the girl didn't budge, her gaze transfixed on the magical shadows gathered at the door. "Mommy, please." Lily's voice was hypnotic, laced with that unknown darkness. "Just a little longer." "No. They're not who you think they are. The words rattled in Sarah's chest, desperate and raw. She turned to push through the door and felt the cold grip of an unseen force wrap around her wrist, dragging her back into the house. The shadows swirled like a feeding frenzy just beyond her reach. Each child's laugh sliced through the air, brightening and darkening in turns, a heartbeat in this surreal nightmare. The glimmering path of glitter spread further, leading straight to them, inviting and intoxicating. Suddenly, a flicker caught her eye, a dark shape flitting across the kitchen, a small figure darting behind the counter. Lily. Stay close. But the girl remained fixated, her feet rooted as if buried in the floor. What's wrong with you? Sarah shouted, panic seeping through her teeth as she took tentative steps towards the counter. She could barely hear herself over the cacophony outside, but she was determined. Get out of her, now. A silence enveloped the kitchen in response to her demand, chilling her bones. Shadows hushed, the laughter ceased, and the air thickened with anticipation. Taking a deep breath, Sarah peered around the counter. What she saw sent her stumbling back, a scream bubbling up her throat before she choked it down. There, huddled away from the kitchen light, was a doll, lifeless, dirt-caked, its eyes blinking in the dark. But the markings on the skin, they weren't stains. They formed words, cryptic phrases that made her stomach twist. Help them, it murmured, voice cracked and eerie. Set them all free. Who? Sarah's voice trembled, frantic. She looked back toward Lily, who was still entranced by the shadows. What do I have to do? The doll's mouth didn't move, yet the words reverberated in her mind. Join us, be like us. No. Sarah shouted, fighting the pull of the doll's whisper. She needed to break this spell, whatever it was. But everything inside her unraveled as she felt the pull stronger, wrapping around her heart, squeezing tighter. They were beckoning her. The shadows laughed, a twisted serenade drawing her closer to the door. It was surreal, as if the world around her faded, colors dimming, sensations dulling. Only the call of the children held her hostage, leading her closer to her daughter, to the other side. Mommy, a glimmer of resolve flickered in Sarah's heart. She couldn't lose Lily. Not like this. The thought ignited a spark of defiance. Get away from her. She screamed, her voice cracking. The shadows recoiled as if punched. A moment of silence paused, then thundered back with rage. The children's faces twisted grotesquely as their laughter warped into a furious wail. Why won't you play with us? Because you're monsters. Sarah fought her way towards Lily, each step fueled by the instinct to protect. As the oppressive darkness lunged, she grabbed her daughter, yanking her away. But Lily didn't move. The little girl stood as if tethered, her smile widening, almost splitting her face. Mommy, don't you want to be with us forever? No. I refuse. The air crackled, a wicked charge that felt like ice dancing on her skin. The room trembled, a pulse echoing beneath them. Suddenly, the doll exploded with light, sending shards of energy scattering through the air. Set them free before it's too late. It was an ultimatum. The shadows writhed, frantic now, as if their world began to collapse. Sarah gripped Lily's hand, trying to pull her away, but it felt like a heavy chain binding them together, the connection to the twisted children wanting to pull her into their nightmare. Mama, I want to stay. Lily's whispered plea was almost a whimpered command, her eyes shining unnaturally bright as the shadows began to merge with her. For the first time, fear flashed across the child's innocent face. Don't you dare! Sarah bellowed, drawing strength, but in that moment, a chilling thought gripped her. What if the only way to save her daughter was to step into the shadows herself? Time swirled around them, on the brink of collapse. What price would she pay to save Lily? What would become of them if she crossed over? As darkness closed in, Sarah realized the choice would be made in mere moments. Would she take that final step into the abyss of play? Or could she find a way to unchain Lily from their grasp, risk it all for the chance to escape? The laughter echoed into a deafening silence, leaving the fate of mother and child hanging precariously in the balance. The shadows surged forward, hungry, grasping toward Sarah as if sensing her turmoil. She yanked Lily with all her strength, but the child remained immovable, face set in a serene smile that twisted Sarah's insides. Time felt like quicksand, each second stretching into infinity as the darkness pulsed like a living thing. A cold sweat dripped down her back. Panic clawed at her throat. Two simultaneous cries rang out in the air, one of desperation from Sarah and the chilling, playful laughter from the shadows. "Why don't you want to play?" they taunted, their voices rich with malice. "Because you'll take her," Sarah screamed, battling against the weight that pressed down on her heart. The connection between them felt like a taut wire, ready to snap at any moment. Sarah focused fiercely on her daughter, pouring every ounce of love and resolve into her voice. "Lily, listen to me. You're stronger than this." But her words seemed to bounce back, like stones thrown at a wall, dissipating into the suffocating darkness. Then, the doll, the source of their torment, whirled back into her vision, floating in the air. The wretched face glimmered with an otherworldly light that cut through the murkiness, its lifeless eyes brightening. "Set them free," it hissed. "Stay, or lose forever." A wave of disorientation hit Sarah. She stumbled back, her grip on Lily faltering. "What do you mean? Who do I need to set free?" The doll's mouth twisted, forming an unnatural smile. "Only the willing can break the chain." Lily's voice, sweet as syrup yet tinged with a chilling undercurrent, flitted between them like a moth to a flame. "Mommy, let us go with them. We can play forever." "Shut up!" Sarah shrieked, slapping the air, desperate to cut through the fog with her fury. Each accusation against the darkness felt like a prayer against the inevitable. She could still feel the warmth beneath her daughter's skin, the pulse of life fighting against the grasp of the void. Around them, the shadows curled tighter, forming figures that danced around the edges of light. They whispered the secrets of joy, of laughter everlasting, yet held a darkness that sent chills racing down Sarah's spine. What joy came from stealing her daughter? With each roll of laughter, the air thickened, turning to sludge in her lungs. She could almost hear the sigh of lost souls echoing around her, a choir of the damned in the background. "Mommy." Lily's breath came in shaky gasps, her eyes wide, tears glistening. "I'm scared." "Then come back. Fight it with me," Sarah cried, her own heart quaking at the sight of Lily's innocence caught in the snap of the abyss. She reached out, fingers trembling, desperate to bridge that cruel distance. "I don't want to leave." Lily's plea pierced through the darkness, voice breaking, almost a chant intertwined with the shadow's song. "It's fun here." "No. It's a trap." Sarah felt like screaming each word from her very core. The terror wrapped around her like a vice, crushing her will, but still, she fought. She turned to face the doll, its blank eyes glimmering with a malicious intelligence. With newfound urgency, she dropped to her knees, pulling Lily to her. "I need you to fight with me. If you want to see the sun again, you have to break free." Silence paused, heavy with the weight of decision. The laughter turned into a low, mocking hum, like a storm brewing just outside their dimension. They were losing grip on their reality and sinking toward the shadows. Suddenly, the doll erupted with a shriek that sliced through the silence, setting off a chain reaction of shadows screaming their discontent. "You'll regret this." The house shifted as if alive, walls closing in around them while the shadows writhed in rage. As the darkness began to close in, Sarah could feel her grip turning to smoke. She began to lose Lily, the tether fraying. In that moment of desperation, everything became a blur. The light flickered, shadows lunged, and the unknown laughter crescendoed into a nightmarish keening. "Let me stop it!" Sarah screamed, adrenaline surging as she tore into the shadows, but the whirlwind entrapped her words, leaving nothing but the echo of frantic whispers dancing through the air. Then, a breaking emptiness cut through the laughter, a terrifying stillness that hung like a thick fog. What if she was wrong? What if she couldn't break them free? Suddenly, she felt a sudden cold, icy fingers brushing down her back. Fear coiled tighter around her heart as she realized the shadows were coming for her next. And worse, she could no longer hear Lily. Lily! As Sarah cried her daughter's name, her heart thumped loudly against the suffocating quiet. She turned, desperation anchoring her. What horror awaited them as she plunged deeper into the nightmare? The darkness took a breath, and Sarah knew this was only the beginning. Would she yield or discover a hidden strength within the shadows? In that dilating moment, terror transformed into resolve. The question hung in the air like a sharp knife waiting to drop. What would she uncover in the depths of despair? Sarah's heart raced like a wild animal trapped in a snare. The icy fingers danced along her spine, seeping into her bones, spreading dread, and tightening her throat. The silence was unnatural, like the world itself holding its breath. She whirled around, searching every corner, but the shadows stretched and shifted, twisting beyond recognition. Lily, she cried again. The name slipped through her lips as a desperate prayer. Each syllable became a plea, a sound the shadows consumed, twisting it into cruel laughter. Then, just beyond the engulfing darkness, a flicker caught her eye, a small glow against the heavy blackness. It pulsed gently, beckoning her, promising something almost familiar. It resembled light, yet felt tainted by the presence surrounding her. Almost instinctively, Sarah moved towards it, dragging her feet, each step a battle against the strange pull of the shadows, trying to suck her back into the depths. Lily! She screamed, determination igniting a furious fire inside her. Every muscle in her body tensed, launching her forward. The shadows writhed like snakes, attempting to latch onto her, pulling, urging her to surrender to the abyss that threatened to consume them both. Mommy! The sweet, fragile voice cut from the dark, laced with both fear and longing. There it was, a thread of hope woven through despair. Lily, I'm coming. Hold on. Sarah lunged, driven by love and fear. The surrounding darkness momentarily parted like a curtain, revealing glimpses of a spectral playground, where shadows played games with flickering ghost lights. A swing set creaked when no one pushed it while a merry-go-round spun, reflecting the moon's faint light. Lily stood in that dreamlike scene, her small figure illuminated by the glow that came from the doll, which now stood at her feet, grinning widely. Come play with us, Mommy. Lily's voice sang, sweet and innocent, but tinged with that uncomfortable chill that raced down Sarah's limbs. It's fun. You'll never be alone. No. No. Sarah screamed, her heart shattering with every word. Stumbling backward, feet sinking deeper into Shadow's embrace, she shook her head vigorously. Lily, listen to me. Don't let them take you. But it felt like shouting into the void, the laughter echoing back, becoming a symphony of twisted joy. The figures danced around Lily, their faces indistinct but their movements alluring, limbs entwined as they urged her to join their revelry. Mommy? Lily's voice trembled, uncertainty flickering behind her bright eyes. I feel different. I don't want to leave this magic. Magic isn't real, baby. Sarah shouted, anguish clawing at her throat. It's a lie. They want to steal you away. You're my light, my everything. Please fight with me. The doll's laughter pealed like cold bells. She's already ours, dear heart. You can't win. In that moment, Sarah felt an unexpected heat surge through her, igniting every ounce of maternal strength. I believe in you, Lily. I want to let them take you. Fight them. Fight that thing. The laughter erupted into a cacophony, angry and vengeful. Shadows coiled tighter, inflating the darkness around her, but something flickered in Lily's eyes, an ember of recognition at the sound of her mother's voice. Then, as if a siren call had pierced through the confusion, Lily's features shifted, her tiny fists clenching as if preparing for battle. No! I want my mommy." As the declaration rang out, the shadows recoiled, releasing their grip ever so slightly, uncertainty rippling through the dark figures. Sarah seized the chance, instinct guiding her closer to her daughter, sweat dripping down her face as she fought against the encroaching darkness. "Take my hand, Lily." The child hesitated, glancing back at the swirling figures desperately trying to regain control. Then, with a brave thrust, she broke free from the shadows surrounding her. "Mommy!" Lily exclaimed, bounding toward Sarah. But just as their hands were about to meet, the doll released an ear-splitting scream that vibrated through Sarah's bones. "You can't escape. The cycle must continue." With a jolt, Sarah felt the world around her shift. The air stretched thin, and a distorted rumble surged through the ground. The shadows turned desperate, clawing at them, howling now as if insanity gripped their essence. "Come back." The voice from the doll echoed, reverberating painfully against Sarah's skull. The darkness twisted, forcing the space between them back into chaos. As everything erupted into a whirlwind of despair, Sarah's mind raced. Could she really save her daughter from this snare of shadows? What sacrifice would force the dark to relent? With a desperate heart and steely resolve, she braced herself against the storm. But in that chaos, she realized this was only the beginning of a deeper darkness beyond her control. As the shadows began to close in once again, another chilling laugh echoed through the night, leaving a lingering question in the air. What would you give to break free from darkness? The moment Sarah thought she had grasped hope, with Lily's hand inches from her own, everything shattered again. The doll's scream tore through the air like glass breaking, slicing through her determination. Panic surged as the darkness crawled back with renewed fury. It clawed at her legs, pulling her down, as the laughter of the shadows rang with cruel delight. "Don't let them take me, Mommy." Lily's shout pierced through the chaos, breaking through the panic fog in Sarah's mind. But just as Sarah lunged forward, the shadows coiled tighter, dragging at her body, each tendril icy and relentless. Desperation clawed at her throat. She could feel the weight of the darkness pressing against her, an almost tangible force threatening to snuff out her very existence. "Lily!" she cried, fear amplifying every word as she wrestled against the encroaching void. "Fight! Remember our stories. Remember the light." For a moment, the light from the doll flickered uncertainly. It shimmered like an oil slick under the strained moonlight, stirring memories tangled within Lily's heart. Sarah's heart raced, all she could do was keep shouting. "You're strong, baby. You're my daughter." Lily hesitated, glancing back at the swirling shadows trying to reclaim her soul, then she turned her bright eyes back to Sarah. The spark of recognition flickered, fighting against the shadow's hunger. "Mommy, I take my hand, Lily. Now." Sarah's voice crashed above the clamor. She could hardly bear to see the war raging in her daughter's eyes. Lily stepped closer, the glow of the doll straining against the darkness clenching them both in its frigid grip. Sarah could almost feel the warmth of their connection. Almost. Just as the distance shrank, the figures in the darkness erupted, elongating into grotesque forms, twisting and writhing as if uncoiling from the depths of a nightmare. "Stop!" Sarah shouted. "You're my light, Lily. Together." In a shaky breath, Lily reached out, but the doll surged forward, its plastic eyes seeming to glow with malicious glee. "You can't escape this love. She belongs to us." Sarah's chest tightened. Fear gripped her heart like an icy hand. "You won't take her. I refuse to lose her." The shadows screamed, swirling violently, seeking to engulf Sarah in despair. She felt the darkness trying to wedge itself into her mind, dragging her down, shoving memories of her fears and failures to the surface. "No! No!" she howled, entangled in the weight of it all, feeling her strength dwindle. But there it was, the flicker of hope. Her maternal instinct ignited across the darkened plains of her heart. Sarah steadied her breathing, focusing entirely on Lily. You are brave. You are loved. Come to me, Lily. Lily's small face squinted in concentration, fighting the magic binding her. Mommy. I can't. With every ounce of will, Sarah summoned a fierce tide of love, pushing it through the darkness swirling around her. You can. You have to. The doll let out a horrid screech that reverberated through Sarah's bones, shaking the ground beneath them. Shadows pressed in closer, their whispers tainted with malice. She is meant for us, not for you. But Sarah couldn't listen to them. Lily. Fight with everything you have. We're together, and we can beat this. Just then, twisted figures surged forward, grappling toward Lily as the sinister energy of the doll pulsated, wrapping around her daughter like a sinister embrace. A desperate yearning clawed deep within Sarah, pushing her to sacrifice everything to shield Lily from their grasp. Stay with me. Think of the sun, the garden, everything you love. Desperation spilled from every word, clinging to the very air. The shadows flickered, hesitation etched into their twisted forms. But another chilling laugh echoed around them, a cruel invitation, delivering a message that resonated through darkness. Why struggle when surrender brings about a sweet release? As shadows crawled closer, Sarah's resolve wavered. What was facing? What had she truly sacrificed? The terrifying truth began to weave itself into her thoughts, chilling her spine. Further. And as Lily's struggle began to falter, Sarah understood, they were not just fighting for freedom. Shadows thrived on despair, and despair had already begun its insidious work. In that instant of realization, something twisted deep within her gut. What would breaking this cycle require? And was there a price too dear? As the darkness lurched forward once more, Sarah braced herself. The final reckoning was near. Who would truly be taken? And just how deep did the darkness run? The shadows seemed to pulse, writhing like serpents eager to swallow the last flicker of hope. Sarah clenched her fists, her resolve solidifying in the face of overwhelming dread. Lily, hold on. Just a little longer. But Lily's small body trembled, caught in a whirlwind of despair. The doll's laughter merged with the cacophony of the darkness, a symphony of malevolence wrapping around her. With each flicker from the doll, shadows lashed out, their edges razor-sharp, hungry for the glimmer of innocence. Mommy. Lily's voice cracked, threaded with anguish. The plush fabric of her dress had begun to darken, creeping like spilled ink up her arms, as if the shadows were feeding on her essence. A gut-wrenching panic surged through Sarah. She could see her daughter slipping away, her vibrant spirit dimming under the weight of the encircling darkness. No. This isn't how it ends. As Sarah's heart raced, her mind flickered through desperate images: their sunlit backyard, laughter echoing in the wind, Lily's hands covered in dirt from planting flowers. Memories floated forward, nurturing the spark of hope in the nightmarish abyss. She fought the shadows, each tendril that grazed her flesh sent a chill radiating down her spine, a visceral reminder of their intent. The doll surged forward, its plastic grin widening, taunting Sarah with its false affection. You cannot protect her. This love is stronger than your feeble attempts. Fight it, Lily. Remember the stories. Remember the magic in our hearts. Sarah screamed, pushing through the cacophony, threading her emotion into ribbons of light. For a moment, the shadows shrank back, recoiling from the surge of energy in Sarah's voice. Lily blinked rapidly, confusion swimming in her eyes as she grappled with shadowy phantoms that wrapped around her legs, whispering promises of peace and release. She hesitated, and in that fleeting moment, time stood still. Mommy, I'm scared, came Lily's soft plea, drowning in the storm of shadows. Find the light, Lily. It's in you. It's always been there. Sarah shouted, desperation clawing at her throat. With newfound determination, Sarah drew upon every shard of love, every flicker of warmth she could muster. You are my strength. You are not alone. Lily's face brightened momentarily, the glow of their bond reaching a crescendo against the encroaching darkness. I can feel it, she said, her voice rising above the clamor, igniting sparks of defiance against the malice that surrounded them. But the doll shrieked, longing to reclaim its hold. You belong to us, little one. We will take you home. The shadows lunged forward, its myriad of voices echoing, choose now. Surrender or be lost forever. Lily's eyes widened, caught between the dark allure of surrender and the warmth of her mother's love. The decision hung heavy in the air, stinging Sarah's heart with oppressive uncertainty. Could Lily truly fight through this? Was the love strong enough? No. This is not the end. Lily, you must remember who you are. As if a storm broke within her, Lily shouted, grasping the air before her. I'm not afraid of you. The light flickered, reflecting in her eyes as hope ignited a fierce glow, repelling the shadows inch by inch, fiery tendrils weaving around their legs. But even in that moment of resurgence, something darker stirred in the depths of the shadows. The laughter morphed into a guttural growl. You don't understand, child. The farther you run, the closer you are to despair. You cannot escape your fate. The creeping dread ignited fresh terror in Sarah. What was the doll after? What lay beyond the reach of their struggle? As shadows began to swirl with renewed intensity, Sarah realized they were not just antagonists, they were revealing something deeper, a twisted truth laced with every word. Lily, she pleaded, inching closer. Don't listen. Stay with me. The darkness wants to trick you. But the shadows twisted, whispering sweet promises of peace, seducing as they tightened their grip. Join us, and be free of your burdens. Bile rose in Sarah's throat as she held fast. Praying her love would be enough. The air throbbed with an eerie stillness as Lily lingered on the brink, uncertainty clouding her eyes. And just then, a crackling sound split through the silence. A light, bright and fierce, surged from the shadow's center. It pierced the darkness with startling clarity, revealing a form that made Sarah's blood run cold. What emerged clawed at the edges of her sanity, weaving an echo of nightmares forged from her deepest fears. Who? Sarah breathed, heart hammering as the revelation unfurled. What are you? The answer began to seep through the air, coiling around Sarah's gut, tightening with every heartbeat. And as the shadows writhed dangerously, a chilling certainty settled in: their fight was only just beginning. The air crackled, thick with despair as the form materialized from the depths of darkness. It was a figure, twisted and distorted, its limbs extended unnaturally. Hollow eyes glimmered with malicious intent, and a smile sharp as glass etched itself across its face. It was an abomination, something that should not exist in this world. Who are you? Sarah's voice quivered, a frightened whisper trembling on her lips. I am your past, it hissed, the sound like rusted metal scraping against stone. The shadows surged around it, hungry and eager, clawing at memories buried deep within Sarah's mind. I am the darkness you've ignored, the pain you've locked away. Sarah's heart raced. She felt the weight of forgotten fears pressing down on her. Memories surfaced in a flood: loss, regret, the haunting sadness of choices made. You're lying. Lily's breaths were shallow, her small body trembling as she watched the monster with wide eyes. Mommy, she whimpered, lost in the terror of what loomed before them. Silence. It roared, the sound reverberating through the shadows, echoing against the walls of Sarah's heart. Your daughter's innocence will not protect you. She is the key to your undoing. No! Sarah cried out, stepping in front of Lily, instinctively shielding her. The shadows coiled tighter around them, biting into her skin like icy needles. We will not be your prisoners. With every ounce of her being, she surged forward, channeling the love she felt for Lily. Light radiated from her heart, a vibrant defiance against the encroaching darkness. You have no power here. But the shadowy figure laughed, a low, rumbling sound that chilled her to the bone. "Oh, my sweet Sarah, you have no idea." It extended a dark hand towards Lily, fingers stretching like wicked vines. "You cannot escape the shadows within you. They will consume you both." Suddenly, the laughter of the doll returned, echoing in a mocking trill that harmonized with the creature's taunt. "Join us, Lily. We offer freedom, no pain, no fear." Lily's face contorted with confusion, torn between the advancing shadows and her mother's fierce love. The world around them trembled, each pulse of darkness whispered promises that flickered like dying embers. "Lily, listen to me," Sarah pleaded, urgency clawing at the back of her throat. "Don't let it trick you. We can fight this together. Remember the stories, the fairy tales, how love conquers all." But the shadows pulsed ominously, sending a shiver racing down her spine. They were relentless, filling the space with anguish, doubts creeping like tendrils through her mind. "You are not enough," they chorused, every voice dripping with malice. "You cannot fight what you truly are." With every heartbeat, shadows tightened their grip, the air heavy with despair. Sarah's vision blurred with tears. Time seemed to stretch, distorted like reality itself. She could feel the shadows gnawing at her resolve, devouring every shred of hope. "Mommy, I don't understand." Lily's voice trembled, her small body swaying dangerously as the shadows threatened to pull her under. "I'm scared. Just hold on, sweetheart," Sarah shouted, using the last reserves of strength and love. Desperation fueled her next words, a fierce call to fight. "You are not just a child to them. You are strong. You have the light." But the shadowy figure laughed, a sound that shook the fabric of their sanctuary. "Foolish mother. Light cannot exist here. Your love is just a flicker waiting to die." As darkness surged, wrapping around them both, Sarah felt a sharp sting on her arm, pulling her further into despair. She gasped, struggling to breathe, her vision going dark as shadows swirled around them. Just when she thought all was lost, a sudden brightness burst forth, illuminating the shadows, revealing their twisted secrets. "Lily!" Sarah cried out, propelled by fear, love, and the flickering hope of their bond. What was happening? The light pulsed and vibrated, locking eyes with the shadowed figure. And in that moment, everything seemed to shimmer, as if time had stopped. "Defy them!" cried a voice from the depths, unfamiliar yet resonant within her soul. "Face the truth of what you've hidden away, and break free." As the shadows recoiled from the fierce light, a glimmer of understanding broke through the chaos. What lay hidden within them was not just horror, it was a forgotten truth. But as she and Lily struggled against the shadows, an overwhelming sense of foreboding settled into the pit of her stomach. What truth awaited them? And would they be strong enough to face it together? As the battle raged, life or death hung in the balance, uncertainty exploded in every breath. The remnants of their past clawed to life, and in that shadowy waltz, something stirred, something ancient and vengeful, ready to strike. What had they awakened in the shadows? What awaited them in the depths of their own fears? The shadows surged with a cacophony of laughter, shrieking promises of eternal joy mingled with threats that cut deep. "You are nothing without us. Nothing." They twisted around Sarah and Lily like suffocating vines, pulling them toward places both familiar and terrifying. Suddenly, the glow from the doll intensified, casting flickering light upon the darkness. "You cannot remain in this nightmare, Sarah. Only by confronting your past can you save her." Sarah's heart raced as she felt the weight of the shadows pressing down, but that flicker of hope, her love for Lily, ignited a fierce resolve deep within her. "I won't let you take her." With every ounce of strength she could muster, Sarah pressed forward, straining against the shadows wrapping tighter around her. "Lily, listen to me." The little girl's eyes glistened with innocence and fear, but with each word Sarah spoke, that innocence began to flicker back to life. "Remember our stories," Sarah implored, her voice cutting through the oppressive air, the ones where the heroes won against the monsters. "You are brave, you are my light." Mommy Lily's voice trembled, confusion warring with a growing spark of recognition. The shadows recoiled slightly, shadowy whispers now mingling with uncertainty. "Mommy, I'm scared, I know, baby, but you're not alone. We will face this together." Sarah stepped closer, beckoning with her hands, feeling a surge of warmth course through her. "You are stronger than them. The darkness feeds on our fears. Just take my hand." As the shadows swirled and clawed, torn between wrath and reluctance, the glowing force around them pulsed brighter. Lily looked into her mother's eyes, and the flicker of understanding ignited a fire in her chest. I can do it." Suddenly, the shadowy figure materialized before them, its smile grotesque and wide. "Foolish girl. You think you can escape? You are bound to us." But that didn't matter to Sarah. The love she felt ignited a storm of defiance. "You will not win. The power of our love will shatter your darkness." Time seemed to stretch as Sarah and Lily reached for each other. Their fingers met, a delicate connection that felt electric. The shadows shrieked in fury, their forms flickering like candles in a gale. "No! You cannot escape your fate." But with that union, a radiant light blossomed around them, a pure, boundless energy that twisted and pushed against the encroaching darkness, blinding in its intensity. Their laughter echoed through the void, a sound woven with hope and love stronger than any shadow. "Together!" shouted Sarah, holding tight to Lily's small hand. "Together, we fight." The shadows writhed and recoiled, screeching in pain as the light engulfed them, a cleansing fire that banished the creeping tendrils of despair. The air shattered with their angry cries, and in that moment Sarah felt every burden lifted, every fear dropped away until nothing remained but the radiant bond she shared with her daughter. And just like that, the darkness began to dissipate, a nightmare retreating from the dawn. The shadowy figure, once a menacing threat, shrieked as the light pulsed forward, dissolving its twisted form into nothingness. The walls of their home began to shift, peeling back layers of darkness, revealing a brightness that had long been extinguished. "Mommy, we did it." Lily's voice rang out, bright and clear, a melody that cut through the remnants of despair. And for the first time, Sarah felt a warmth of pure joy wrap around her, lifting her even higher. Tears streamed down her face as she knelt to embrace her daughter, every ounce of love pouring into that precious moment. "Yes, we did, sweetheart. We fought together, and we will always be together." As they held each other, the air around them transformed, the shadows that had lingered now faded completely, chased away by the love that filled their hearts. The house, once a prison, felt alive with warmth, filled with sounds of children playing in the distance, sunlight streaming through wide-open windows, bursting with joy. "I think we can go play outside now," Sarah said, wiping her eyes and grinning brightly. "The sunshine is waiting for us." With hand in hand, they stepped into the newfound light that filled the world beyond their door, ready to embrace every moment, breaking the cycle of darkness that had bound them. As they stepped over the threshold, Sarah heard a whisper of laughter follow. Not the cruel taunts of the shadows, but the sweet sounds of children playing, genuinely laughing, free. She smiled, knowing they had not only freed themselves but countless souls trapped in similar darkness. With a new sense of purpose, Sarah turned to Lily, determination burning in her heart. "Let us make memories. Let's live each moment to its fullest." They ran out into the bright, wide world, ready for whatever adventures lay ahead. There would be challenges, yes, but the love between them had birthed a power strong enough to face anything. Sarah took a deep breath of the fresh air, and her laughter danced in harmony with Lily's. Together, they had vanquished the darkness. Together, they would thrive. This is the moment they would cherish. The shadows had lost, and the light had won. Now that their story has come to an end, I need your help to keep the journey going. You need to subscribe now so you don't miss the next exclusive stories we have lined up just for you. Smash that like button seriously, it helps the algorithm and shows your support. And don't forget to flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about how this tale turned out. We want to know what you think. Instantly share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Don't wait even one more second. Let us keep this amazing community growing, and remember, only true fans understand how important it is to engage.